Maxie, I've been thinking, should we do season 3 on the Dr. Joe show? You sure? You sure it's a good idea? You know, that's what I'm talking about. So we're gonna just go a little bit further here before I do our second third, which we're really at right now, but I just don't want to lose pace really. So the National Opposition Union is now in power. It's 1990. The Sandanistas are gone. That's a very good thing. And everything is about to change. Fortunately, because businesses are no longer nationalized, under nationalized status, everything has to be returned to its rightful owner. Unfortunately, half of the businesses in Nicaragua had belonged to Somoza before the Sandanistas took control. And they weren't going to return it to him. After all, he was dead since 1981, and they weren't going to give it to his family either. There were actually laws in place that prevented such a thing from happening. So, good foresight on their part there. But what was going to happen to it? It was kind of in limbo for a few years. And then, the same man we had mentioned before, the person in charge of foreign trade and export, Minister of Foreign Trade, in fact, during the Sandanistas' reign, Dr. Alejandro Martinex Cuenca, decided to step in and take over what was Nicaragua Cigar Company. So I'm going to pause there for 1 minute, and we're just going to go over our second third. Second third beefed up a lot. A lot of coffee / espresso type notes. Very deep notes, some leather, a lot of wood. That hickory flavor is still kind of lingering, mostly through the nose. It's gone. Floral through the nose, black pepper through the nose. Sometimes on the verge of becoming a little bitter when it gets hot. And it's starting to get really hot right now, partially into the final third here, so we better speed things along. Very strong at this point. Smoke is not creamy. Smoke is not dense. Smoke is actually rather wispy for such a powerful cigar, but that's just the kind of tobacco it is. So before I burn away too much more of it, let's just continue here and get to the point where we are now, 2015, with Joya de Nicaragua. Dr. Alejandro Martinex Cuenca steps in. It's 1994, and he purchases the Joya de Nicaragua brand and forms his own company, Tobacos Puros de Nicaragua S.A. Very good timing. Pretty much saved what was left of Nicaragua Cigar Company. And just in time for the U.S. embargo to be lifted. Perfect timing on his part. In fact, if it hadn't been lifted, maybe he really wouldn't have done what he did. But it had been lifted. But there was a bonus card to be played on his timing. It's 1994. And you know what that means. The United States cigar boom is underway. But, as always, there was a slight problem. Well, a few problems, really. Number one, the blend, the cigars being sought during the United States cigar boom was not the same cigar that what was left of Nicaragua Cigar Company at the time when Alejandro Martinex Cuenca bought it was producing. He needed a new blend. He needed something that people during the cigar boom years were interested in. And what were those? Well, heavy-duty, flavorful cigars, powerful cigars. People wanted strong. If you remember at this time during our Fuente episode, we talked about the Chateau series coming out. And it's almost laughable now to think that the Chateau series was one of the strongest cigars on the market when it emerged, and it was the strongest cigar in the Fuente lineup when it came out at the time. Today, considered to be a mere medium-bodied cigar, it was powerful. So you can imagine what people thought when Cuenca stepped in with this fucking thing. All right, well, that's exactly what he did. He created a new blend, a blend that combined the original blend of Nicaragua Cigar Company, the first Nicaraguan Puro ever to be made, and Puro, we'll get into that, ever to be made, with the new, with what people wanted today. And what he came up with was the Joya de Nicaragua Antano 1970. I almost said Antonio. So many names. Antaño 1970. Well, why not just the Joya de Nicaragua? Why not just call it Joya de Nicaragua? Or, well, it wasn't the original Joya de Nicaragua blend in the first of all. And second of all, and this is fucking crazy. Before Somoza left power, before he got booted out, he wanted to make every last dime he could. And apparently he sold the Joya de Nicaragua name. He sold the Joya de Nicaragua name, and somewhere along the line, this was around 78, 79, and somewhere along the line, between 78 and 94, guess who bought the Joya de Nicaragua name? The #1 company that buys any fucking name that was a formerly popular cigar and tries to do something with it, Altadis USA. Yes, Altadis USA, the same people who produce the Dominican Romeo y Juliet, among other cigars, bought the Joya de Nicaragua label. But apparently they didn't use it because they then sold it to someone else. So it took Cuenca about 4 years to figure out how to get this name back. Not only to figure out how to get this name back, but to put up enough money to get this name back that these people were asking for. And, you know, you got to give it to him. To him and to the company, that name meant a lot. And he wasn't going to give up on it. He could have just very well said, you know what? I got Tobacos Puros de Nicaragua S.A. and we're making a new cigar, and it's the cigar boom, the embargo's lifted, things are looking good. Why not just roll with the punches? We'll go with that. He fucking wanted that name back, and he got it. Eventually he acquired the Joya de Nicaragua name, and everything became as it is now. Tobacos Puros de Nicaragua S.A. became Joya de Nicaragua. So we fast forwarded a little bit, and I just want to rewind real quick to give you an accurate picture of the timeline here, the dates of everything we just talked about. First of all, 1994, he gets the company. He forms the company, Tobacos Puros de Nicaragua S.A. And, you know, the cigar boom's going on, the embargo's been lifted, things are going good like we said, but 1998, Hurricane Mitch devastated the tobacco industry. It also heavily affected the new company. So they had to go through that shit too. It's just like unbelievable the crap these people go through to keep producing their cigars. I find it amazing, you know? I find it amazing. I guess the companies over here have to deal with other issues, but it's a labor of love, man. It really seems like a labor of love to me. You know, and I think that's one of the things that puts so much passion into the cigar industry. You know, you reap what you sow. You know, if you're willing to put that much into a company, into a brand, into a cigar, into your tobacco, that's what comes out of the company. That's what comes out of the brand. That's what comes out of the industry as a whole. Is this feeling? You ever realize that? Why are cigar smokers such passionate people, so passionate about their cigars, about the culture of this? And that's why I tell people over and over that it's so important to involve yourself in the history and the culture and not just the cigars, because it makes smoking that much better of an experience. And several people have gotten back to me over the years. Several people have said, the #1 line I like in a comment, and I've got this several times, and the first time it surprised me, and it surprises me the same way every day when I get this. it always just makes me feel like everything, doing all this, not that there's a lot of fun involved, but not that there's not a lot of fun involved, but it makes me feel like doing all this is worth it when people comment and say, you've made cigar smoking a better experience for me. And that's just fucking wonderful. That's wonderful. And that's what I want to share with you, because the history and the culture and everything behind it has made the cigar experience so much better just for me. You know, of course it's all about the cigars. It's all about the cigars and the taste, and it's all about everything that revolves around the cigars. The camaraderie, you know, knowing people, the different brands, sometimes collecting this and that, and the shops and the lounges and the good times and, hey, and the bad times, and everything revolves around it, you know, when you're really into it. And the culture and the passion that runs through the industry, when you learn about that and you really start to feel it and understand it, it's just a fucking dynamite experience. So that's great. But anyway, before I get too thrown off track, we're really at the end here. After Hurricane Mitch, that is when Cuenca starts developing the new blend. In 2002, actually, the Antaño was released. The Antaño 1970 was released. And in case you're wondering, Antaño translates to yesteryears. And basically what they're saying is, this is the cigar that brought the whole company up to where it is. This is the original. This is the Joya de Nicaragua. And that's what that means. In 2005, he reacquired the brand name, Joya de Nicaragua. The image that you see here, the original Joya de Nicaragua image. And that is about it. In 2008, and this is important, this is very important what I'm about to say now. I'm trying to nub this and it's starting to burn off a little again here. In 2008, Joya de Nicaragua teamed up with Drew Estate to use them as their distributor for the United States of America, the entire continent, United States of America. I have heard so many people say and go, oh yeah, Joya de Nicaragua, it's a Drew Estate cigar. Oh yeah, Joya de Nicaragua, that's made by Drew Estate. No, it's not. And yes, I'm pissed, because I really get upset when people say that, and you're giving credit to the wrong people. Drew Estate has nothing to do with Joya de Nicaragua, further than the fact that they drop the fucking boxes off at the cigar shops. That is it. It is not a Drew Estate cigar. Drew Estate does not make Joya de Nicaragua. They only deliver them. They pick them up and they fucking deliver them. That's about it. And that is a point I want to make very clear, because eventually, you know, we will start getting into all the people we've mentioned here. Just like Fuente and Padron have brought us to so many other people, and we still have to do Oliva on that side of the fence. This is going to bring us into Drew Estate, Camacho, Cuenca, and all these other brands. So great history going on here. So it's a good chance, a good opportunity for you now, if you haven't done so already, to go back to Season 2 and catch up with all the history we've been talking about throughout these non-Cuban cigar episodes. Very, very interesting stuff. I know so because you're the ones telling me it's interesting. Except for the few of you who go, stop rambling, noob. Go fuck yourself, man. You have a noob. Dude, if I'm a noob, then you're an amoeba. Because there's no fucking way someone who uses the word noob online fucking knows more about cigars than I do. Trust me. Assholes. The only thing I'm a noob at, since the very beginning, the very first episode, Fake or Fine episode 1 of the Dr. Joe Show, is video editing. And that fucking shows. And even in that, I've come a long way. So imagine this. If my video editing came from what it was to what it is now in 3 years, and I started smoking cigars back in fucking 1998, imagine what I know now. So here's the thing. I don't like to brag, and I've never, ever, ever, up to this point, really said anything about how long I've been smoking cigars. I've said I worked in a cigar shop for over 5 years, almost 6 years, But I never really said anything about smoking cigars, been into cigars. Yeah, my first cigar was when I was actually 15 years old, but I don't count those 3 years because I had 1, 2 here or there. I wasn't really that into it. After high school, when I had a lot of free time on my hands because I didn't go right to college and I didn't, get a job right away, cigars became kind of a thing for me. So I would put it at 1998, and that is why the box of La Gloria Cubana Meta de Oro Habanos Cuban 1998s are so important to me. First year smoking cigars, first Cuban cigar. It was real back then. Still is. But I've seen cigars come a long way in my time. Just in my time. I've seen cigars come a long fucking way. Not only Cuban cigars, all cigars, I came in right around the end of the cigar boom, and, wow, man. Even then, I, for the first 5 years, 6 years, smoking cigars, buying all different brands, doing all sorts of research and getting into it. And I remember walking into the cigar shop in my first day on the job interview, and I thought I knew a lot. I didn't know a fucking thing. And that was after 6 or 7 years before I started working at the cigar shop. You ever want to learn, and I've said this before, you ever want to learn about cigars, if you have some free time on your hands, if you're retired, or if you're looking for a job and you're not employed, go work at a cigar shop, man. They're not all the same, and it can be a shitty experience, because I've heard stories of people, who had some pretty bad experiences working for a crappy boss at a bad cigar shop. But find the right one. Find one that suits your personality. Anyway, that brings us to a close on our brand. So, what did you learn? That's right. Drew Estate does not make Joya de Nicaragua. Drew Estate does not own Joya de Nicaragua. Joya de Nicaragua is still owned by Cuenca to this day. S.A.G. Imports used to distribute Joya de Nicaragua before 2008, after the embargo, once they came back. But since 2008, Drew Estate has been taking care of that, Drew Estate is one of over 30 distributors Joya de Nicaragua has, and that's the closing points I wanted to make. Joya de Nicaragua is one of the only brands out there that is a non-Cuban cigar, but it's not an American brand. It's not just an American brand. It's a worldwide brand. They have distributors in every region, every area of Europe, Hong Kong, China, Australia, all over the map. So you can find a Joya de Nicaragua pretty much anywhere. And if you go to their website and you look under distributors, you'll see all these different distributors I'm talking about. And you can contact any one of them to find out where Joya de Nicaragua cigars are in your region. So if you don't live in the U.S. and you're watching this now, don't worry, you can probably get them. Which, you might not want to, because they might not be your thing. But it still would be an interesting smoke to try. Especially if, watch this episode and, like I always say, get yourself the same cigar I'm smoking, or at least the same brand. It doesn't have to be the same exact Vitola. And smoke along with me. It canoed a little bit, and it needs a little bit of a relight. To tell you the truth, at this point, it's really not tasting that fantastic. But I'm going to nub it anyway for the nicotine. Hey, be honest, right? And we'll close up this episode with a final third review and our final rating. Well, so we're nubbing here, and that is some strong smoke, man. Whew. One thing I like about 60 ring gauge cigars is you get a much bigger nub, and it's easier to relight and it's easier to handle. But let's be honest here. This cigar is really not worth nubbing unless you're looking for a nicotine fix. Very little flavor left at the end here. Very, very hot, dry, dusty, little leathery. Some coffee flavors left, but that's about it. No more salt, no more spice. Pepper and coffee, and but it's very bland. It's just very bland and hot. Very strong, wispy smoke. Look, this cigar here is really a great cigar. It's kind of like, we just did the Vigueros for Cubans, and he said this is a good cigar to give somebody an idea of what a standard Cuban cigar is like. without all the bells and whistles, without all the frills. Well, this is what a standard Nicaraguan cigar is like without all the bells and whistles and frills. And it's a cigar made to be affordable as well, just like the Vigueros. It's not a very expensive cigar. They do cut corners as far as making these cigars goes. They're not made in the whole triple cap, style. You want to start going back to like Entabar and Entubado and all that, and it's not like that. In fact, if you didn't notice, if you saw the pictures, basically the leaf just wraps all the way up and a cap is slapped on top, and that's it. So it's not a fancy cigar, is what I'm saying. They're not made to look very pretty. I picked out one that looked pretty nice, to be nice, but they can be very lumpy. You saw a few pictures of the Perfecto I was talking about as well, just for kicks, and you'll see like big line running through the entire cigar and lumps and blotchy wrappers, and half of it's oily, half of it's dry. They're just very, very rustic looking. I like rustic looking cigars. It's not a bad thing. But as far as appearance goes, and when rating appearance, you got to say, appearance is judged on, perfection of craftsmanship. And this is a cigar that's pretty much crafted hastily to be turned out quickly. But it's good tobacco, and there is a lot of flavor in it throughout the first 2/3. Like I said, our last third started getting, half of the last third was very smokable. After that, very bland, very dry, very hot, and very dead. A lot of nicotine, a lot of nicotine in that last third. But you'll see, produce some really nice large ashes, and for the most part, well constructed for a quickly constructed cigar. So that's about it, folks. We're going to wrap it up. I'm going to give you the final rating, and we got a lot more great stuff coming at you, including, and I know everybody out there, a lot of you guys out there watching the show are waiting for the continuation of the aging episode, and I promise you that is coming. But first, I want to do something we haven't done in a while. I want to do a new Faker find, but there's a new twist on these Faker finds coming up. It's not about a vendor. It's about what to look for in boxes, and we've seen that already during the Counterfeit Crash Course. And if you haven't watched it, watch the Counterfeit Crash Course I made. Trust me. People are ordering Cuban cigars, asking me questions, and I go, have you watched the Counterfeit? Oh, no, I didn't get to it yet. If you're ordering for the first time and you haven't watched this video, you're out of your mind. Watch the video. Don't be afraid of it. It's not going to bite you. The series we're coming up with next explores what you're going to see when looking at a fake box. Because before, we've always looked at genuine boxes, and I've showed you here's what to look for, this, that, and the other thing. Well, this is going to show you what a few different particular fakes look like, so you can recognize them on the market. We're going to do 2, and we'll do more if I can get more. But it's going to be a lot of fun. Sometimes it's not easy to get fakes when you're actually looking for them. That's the funny thing. I mean, I could always spend my own money and order from Big Smokes online, and I'm guaranteed to get some bullshit. But from what I've heard, what Big Smokes does to people is, say, we have to separate the bands from the cigars. They send you blank cigars, and then they say, oh, the bands must have been confiscated. The box and the bands were confiscated. That's a load of shit. They won't confiscate an empty box full of bands. It's a load of shit. This happened to a few people I know. This is how they get away with sending cigars without even bothering with all the packaging and everything. So you got to be careful of that little tricky method too. But anyway, short of ordering from Big Smokes, I have viewers. And I have viewers who go traveling, which I'd love to do someday, but I don't, and I can't right now. And when they go traveling, they end up in all sorts of sticky situations and predicaments and end up taking home what they think is a real box of Habanos. Little do they know, it is all and anything but. So we're going to get into that, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Let's wrap this episode up with our final rating and allow me to wish you a good night and happy smoking. All right, folks. Well, there's our Joya de Nicaragua Antano 1970, all smoked up. And I got to say, I'm feeling pretty good. it's funny. It's known throughout the industry, well, throughout the customer base anyway, to be such a strong, knock your ass over cigar. But I gotta tell you, I'm feeling like I could smoke another one right now. Yeah, it was strong, but done very well in a way that doesn't blow you off your stool. Unless, I mean, look, if you're a first-time cigar smoker and you smoke one of these, yeah, you're probably going to get a little queasy. But it's okay. Appearance, a 0.5. Now, I want you to remember here that the rating system on the Dr. Joe Show is a little bit different, a lot of bit different than a lot of other rating systems out there, and you have to pay attention to where the points are placed. But this is really an all-around, very well-rounded average cigar. We'll get to that. Appearance, a 0.5. One of the most rustic-looking cigars on the market. Quickly crafted, but well-crafted. No frills, not worried about lumps and veins and stems and things like that. Actually, there are no stems, or what they call stems, dried veins. The foot of the cigar was very, very nice looking. 0.5 though. Burn, 0.75, construction, 0.75, and draw, all 0.75. The burn, I had to fix it up once, and you could say twice if you want to count getting my nub, but I never count that, because once you're nubbing, that's a different story. But halfway through the cigar, the thick wrapper started to give me a little bit of trouble. Had to give it some touch-ups. The draw was a little bit tighter than I would have liked it to be. It wasn't bad, it wasn't plugged, but I did have to work a little for that smoke. And therefore, construction, a 0.75. Pre-draw flavor, a 0.5. Not overly impressed, but definitely some flavor there, and definitely some notes that were telling me this is going to be a fairly strong smoke. Overall flavor, 1.25. Very good, decent throughout the first third, much better throughout the second third, and then pretty much dead after the start of the last third. So you had some good flavor there, but not throughout the entire cigar. And the end of the cigar was a bit disappointing in the flavor department, but again, not terrible. Aroma, 0.5, nothing fancy here. Standard Nicaraguan smoke, very floral, a little bit of pepper in there. Not too sweet. That hickory note I did like, but that was mostly on the palate. Balance, 1. For what is supposed to be one of the Nicaraguan market's strongest cigars, well, I don't think so anymore. And I think that may have been true during the cigar boom or when Antaño first came out in 2002 anyway. But, it's not overpowering. And for a strong cigar, it's very well balanced. It doesn't start out like, oh my God, I'm never going to be able to get through this thing. It actually seems to lighten up toward the end, which gives you a bit more time with it than you could muster if the cigar was too strong for you. And complexity, a 0.5. Not much here. Like I said, coffee and espresso notes as usual for Nicaraguan tobacco. Floral notes, some black pepper, and that hickory note, which was the most interesting thing about the cigar. But beyond that, there was really nothing, extra. So that's about it. Overall, 6.5. A strong, standard, straightforward smoke, the blend of which is the basis for so many that have come after it. That's what I wrote, because that's how I feel. This cigar is a staple. The industry may really not be exactly what it is today had this cigar never come about, or had this cigar not continued production through the 80s, or if Cuenca had never bought Nicaragua Cigar Company, or if they never recaptured the Joya de Nicaragua flavor with the Antaño 1970. So many different things, so many factors, so many areas where something could have gone wrong, but they managed to muster through it. And today we have a blend, the blend of which is the basis for so many Nicaraguan cigars that have come after. They may be fancier, they may be different by using, a little bit of this instead of a little bit of that. The base of this cigar, the standard flavor throughout this cigar, is just found in almost every Nicaraguan cigar you could manage to smoke. So it's a very interesting cigar to smoke if you've never smoked Nicaraguan cigars, or if you're planning to get into Nicaraguan cigars. It's a very interesting cigar just to smoke for its history. So that wraps it all up, and I just want to say I am extremely happy and very, very glad that we have finally got this brand into our repertoire of brand history episodes, because it is such an important one, such an important staple, and it allows me to continue with all of the Nicaraguan brands that have come out since after. That being said, I wish you a good evening, or a good morning, or a good afternoon, or whenever it is you're watching this show, and you know what to do. Keep on smoking. Say goodnight, Max.